The door was already closing when Daniel reached for it. "Wait," he said, breathless, his voice louder than it had been in years. The room went quiet. Every head turned toward him. His heart slammed against his ribs. His palms were wet. For half a second, he wanted to pull his hand back, apologize, and disappear into the comfort he knew so well. But this time, he didn't. His voice cracked. He swallowed hard. "I have something to say." That was the day Daniel chose courage over comfort. Just 12 hours earlier, his life looked exactly like it always had. Daniel woke up before his alarm, stared at the ceiling, and felt the familiar heaviness settle into his chest. Another day. Same routine. Same silence. Same safe decisions. At work, he sat in the same chair, at the same desk, doing the same tasks he could do with his eyes closed. He was good at his job. Everyone knew it. But knowing and saying were two different things. During the morning meeting, his manager asked, "Does anyone have ideas on how we can fix this?" Daniel had one. A good one. He felt it rise in his chest, ready to escape. But fear was faster. What if it sounds stupid? What if they disagree? What if they notice you? So he stayed quiet. Someone else spoke. A weaker idea. Everyone nodded anyway. Daniel nodded too. At lunch, his coworker Mark sat across from him. "You ever think about applying for the senior role?" Mark asked casually. Daniel laughed softly. "Me? Nah. I'm fine where I am." Mark raised an eyebrow. "You're more qualified than half the people applying." Daniel shrugged. "Comfortable, I guess." Mark didn't smile back. Comfortable can be dangerous. Daniel brushed it off, but the words followed him all afternoon. After work, he passed the same cafe he passed every day. The one where she used to sit by the window, reading. He had rehearsed 100 conversations in his head. None of them had ever happened. Today was no different. He walked past. At home, he collapsed onto the couch. And scrolled mindlessly. His phone buzzed with a notification, an internal email. Final call for leadership program applications. Deadline, tonight. Daniel stared at the screen. This again. His stomach tightened. He locked his phone and tossed it aside. "Not tonight," he muttered. "Maybe next time." But something felt different. Unsettled. Later that evening, he stopped by a small grocery store. As he waited in line, an argument broke out ahead of him. An older man was struggling to pay. His card kept declining. "I'll just put this back," the man said quietly, embarrassed. Without thinking, Daniel spoke. "I can cover it." The word surprised even him.
Thank you.
The man turned. "You don't have to." "I know," Daniel said, pulling out his wallet.
Oh, thank
"But I
you.
can."
Appreciate the help.
As the cashier rang it up, the man smiled. "Most people don't speak up anymore," he said. "Fear keeps them quiet." Daniel froze. Fear of what? The man chuckled. Being seen. Being wrong. Being human. Daniel didn't reply. The man took his bag, paused, then added, "Fear doesn't disappear when you're ready. It disappears when you act." He walked away. Daniel stood there long after the line moved, the sentence echoing in his head. Fear doesn't disappear when you're ready. It disappears when you act. Back home, Daniel sat in the dark. The email glowed on his phone again. Deadline, tonight. His heart raced. "What if I fail?" he whispered to the empty room. Another voice answered, quieter but steadier. "What if you don't?" He stood up and paced. Sat down. Stood again. "I'm not that kind of person," he said aloud. "I don't do bold things. But then another thought crept in. What if that's the problem? His fingers hovered over the screen. He could ignore it. He had done that his whole life. Comfort was familiar. Comfort was safe. Comfort was also slowly suffocating him. Daniel inhaled deeply and tapped apply. The form was long. Each question felt like a challenge. Describe a time you showed leadership. What are your long-term goals? His first instinct was to minimize himself. But something pushed back. No, he said quietly. Tell the truth. He wrote honestly. Nervously. Imperfectly. When he hit submit, his hands were shaking. Nothing exploded. The world didn't end. But something inside him shifted. The next morning, Daniel felt different. Not confident. Not fearless. But awake. At work, his manager announced an impromptu meeting. We need volunteers to present ideas this afternoon. Daniel's pulse spiked. Fear rushed in, loud and urgent. Sit down. Stay quiet. You're safe here. His hand lifted anyway. I can present, he said, surprising himself. The room went silent for a beat. His manager smiled. Great. Looking forward to it. As the meeting ended, Mark leaned over. You okay? He whispered. Daniel exhaled. No. But I'm doing it. Mark grinned. That's how it starts. All afternoon, doubt attacked him. You'll mess up. They'll judge you. You'll regret this. When the moment came, Daniel stood at the front of the room, heart pounding. He opened his mouth. The first sentence was shaky. The second was better. By the third, something clicked. People listened. They asked questions. They nodded. When he finished, the room was quiet, then someone clapped. Then another. Daniel returned to his seat, stunned. Later that day, his manager stopped by. That was strong, she said. Why haven't you spoken up before? Daniel hesitated, then answered honestly. I was afraid. She nodded. Most people are. That's why courage stands out. That evening, Daniel walked past the cafe again. He slowed down. Fear screamed at him to keep walking. He stopped anyway. Inside, she was there. Same window. Same book. His legs felt heavy as he approached. Hi, he said, voice trembling. She looked up and smiled. Hi. They talked. Awkwardly at first. Then easily. When he left, his chest felt light. Not because everything was perfect. But because he didn't run. Weeks passed. Daniel didn't become fearless. Fear still showed up every time something mattered. But now, fear had competition. Every time comfort whispered, courage answered. When the email arrived weeks later, congratulations, you've been selected, Daniel stared at it, tears forming in his eyes. Not because of the opportunity. But because he almost missed it. And now, here he was, standing in that room again, the door closing behind him, his voice finally heard. I have something to say, Daniel repeated, steadier this time. As he spoke, he realized the truth. Courage didn't change his life in one dramatic moment. It changed it one uncomfortable decision at a time. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt trapped by comfort or silenced by fear, take a second to like this video. It helps this message reach someone who might need it today. And if you want more stories that challenge fear and inspire courage, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Before you go, leave a comment and tell me, what's one thing fear has been holding you back from? Because maybe, today is your day to choose courage over comfort.